2. Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 28th edition of Sports on Sunset. I'm James Jericho.
I'm barbecue sauce.
Smothered all over his urethra. Yeah. Well, let's get started. It was an interesting day out in the NFL with NFL Quick Takes. I'll take the first shot. I'm still happy that Georgia Frontiere is dead. She has left behind 2 legacies, not counting whether or not she had any involvement in the death of former Rams owner Carol Rosenblum. Since we don't know, that's not her legacy. The 2 legacies left over, sabotaging the Los Angeles Rams for a massive golden parachute to move the team to St. Louis, and 2, the annual game that they hold over in London. It is time to put that dog down.
Agreed.
I mean, last week, the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, said all the right things about how London is allegedly ready for its own NFL franchise. Yeah, exactly. Look, if London, I'm sure there's enough people out there who like it. If London really could support an NFL team, the London Monarchs of the World League of American Football would have been the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't happen. No Monarchs, no league, no way, no day. End the London game, and then bring the Rams back to LA so that we can wipe Georgia Frontiere clean off the sports map once and for all.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs, namely their fans, who cheered when Matt Castle was dragged off the field a week ago.
Yeah.
Like the classless bastards that they are. You had Brady Quinn start this week.
You got what you wanted.
You got what you wanted. He was knocked out after a play. Why? Because he's not tough. And you had Matt Castle playing anyway. So, karma. I don't believe in it, but maybe.
Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, well, not necessarily, but in an ancillary way, it would be very easy for me to crap on the San Diego Chargers as much as I enjoy doing it after having lost to the Cleveland Browns today.
Yeah.
But let me just instead of ripping the Chargers or the Chiefs, let me just reiterate a point that I have been saying for months and nobody wanted in San Diego to hear. Because, the Chargers are so great. It's not how badly the Chargers suck. It's not how badly the Chiefs suck. The Raiders have won 2 games in a row, and I am under no illusions. This is an awful division of football teams. It's beyond whether or not I like to tweet San Diego fans. They just flat out stink. The only team that plays kind of well is Denver, but all of those teams are seriously flawed.
Well, I'd like to start off, not start off. I'd like to continue by stating, wow, Pittsburgh, well done. They did something I didn't think was going to be done at least until like the 10th or 11th week, which is stop RG3.
Yeah.
And they did a great, how did they do it? 4 linebackers, that's how. That's how you do it. You stop mobile quarterbacks with 4 linebackers. They did it with Randall Cunningham. They've done it to Michael Vick. They did it to, everyone that they faced that has a mobile quarterback. That's how you do it, people.
Adam Schefter of ESPN and formerly of the NFL Network earlier this morning reports that the Rams are fielding trade offers for Steven Jackson. In addition to that, there may or may not be trade winds blowing for D'Angelo Williams. There were a number of teams mentioned. Out of all the teams mentioned, the team that either of these backs would help the most would be Pittsburgh.
Yes.
The Steelers used to play smash mouth football. Strong defense, punch you in the mouth with a running game. Then Roethlisberger comes in, and now they run a spread offense. That is not Pittsburgh Steelers football. Steven Jackson would finally complete a team like that. By the way, dark horse, which I don't think will happen. I don't think it will happen. Darren McFadden. Draft picks, get somebody in there who will run in the zone blocking scheme. I don't think it'll happen. Just shot it out there. Next day.
Marshawn Lynch is still a man. I don't know if y'all remember Marshawn Lynch. He of the stiff arm, running people over runs. He had a 77-yard run today Nobody really runs 77 yards as running backs anymore. Maybe Chris Johnson. But, yeah, he's still a man. He's still running people over. I feel sorry for his knees in about 2 years. Go Marshawn Lynch.
Last week in college ball, the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu, or however the hell he calls himself. I hate people who Honey Badger. Anyway, the groupthink after he was arrested last week on a marijuana charge was, no, he'll never get drafted now. Never happened. I don't buy it. If there's one thing a ton of teams need out there is cornerbacks. You're not going to sit there and tell me that a turnover machine like Tyrann, like this guy can't get a league minimum draft pick in the 6th or 7th round. Oakland, maybe? They have horrible defensive backs. I can see it.
They don't care about people's backs.
Yeah, I can see it. You got one more in you?
Sure. It was oh yeah. The New York Jets were blown out today, as they're wont to do. I'm not saying it's Tebow time, because there's no such thing as Tebow time. He's not a quarterback. What I'm saying is this. You need something else besides Mark Sanchez. Mark the Dirty Sanchez. Seriously, this guy has very limited skills, as all USC quarterbacks have. Very limited skills. They can't run an offense. They can't do anything right in the pros unless Matt Carroll is teaching them how to play. Is that his name? Pete Carroll? It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Mark Sanchez, your time is almost up, buddy.
Final take. Dallas, nice attempt. You want to know why you lost? 19 rushing yards as a team. You have the biggest offensive line in football. You abandoned the run way too quick. Let's get to the main topic of the day. We were talking college basketball earlier this week, and an interesting little take that you had. Why isn't there any hype for the for men's college basketball since the season is about a week or so away from starting? Now, I wanted to give you the opportunity to give your take first. I don't want to reinterpret what you said. So, by all means, why do you, in your opinion, what is the deal with a lack of attention for men's college basketball? And also, you had mentioned something about women.
Well, in men's college basketball, there's, like James said, there's been no hype whatsoever. Mainly because there's not. It's what the NBA and NCAA fear. Due to the defections of one-and-done players, there's no steady fan base. You can't trace anybody to, as far as this player is going to be the great next player because he's a senior. He stayed all 4 years. What, Tim Duncan, you had. Now you're hyping freshmen, and you know these guys are gone after a year. There was a ESPN special that they did on Brittany Griner, Elena Delle Donne, and Skylar, I still can't remember her name. Skylar Diggins, I think. Skylar Wiggins. Diggins or Wiggins? It's fucking W's and D's. But they
our women's expert.
Yes, thank you. But they had a special on them. They spent an entire day with ESPN on the ESPN campus in Bristol, right? They haven't done anything sort of close to that for men's basketball. Why? I don't know. Besides the fact that those three girls are seniors in college. They skipped the WNBA last year. They skipped going so they can come back for their 4th year and quite possibly win another championship, i.e. Brittany Griner, who led her team to 40-0. The men's basketball side has nobody. You can't name anyone since Austin Rivers left, outside of Shabazz Muhammad, who was being investigated for improper benefits. And you can't even tell me where Shabazz Muhammad plays. Most of you can. UCLA. As far as the men's basketball side, it has gone the way of the dodo. Outside of the players, outside of the coaches, outside of you can name the coaches. You can name Calipari. You can name Huggins. You can name Bill Self, but you can't really name the players. Who are the players on their squad? No one really knows. There's no continuity to men's college basketball And that is a problem for the reason that you're hyping men's college basketball. These players are getting no recognition. They don't deserve it because they haven't earned it. The women's side has.
I want to buttress your point before kicking the tires on it.
Okay.
Took a look today, the preseason All-American teams. The first team of preseason All-Americans, one senior, Isaiah Kanan of Murray State, is shooting forward. None on the second team. Two on the third team. Center, but he's not really a center. He'll be a forward. Trevor Mbakwe of Minnesota, DUI arrest recently. And a Michael Snayer, I believe.
Really?
Florida State senior. There were also two on the fourth team. So again, of the top four preseason All-American teams, a grand total of 5 seniors.
Yeah, which never used back in the days of the 80s and 90s, that you had people, you had seniors. You didn't just have, you almost never had, a freshman never really made the All-American team.
Yeah, and a 6'11" sophomore, by the way, named Cody Zeller, is the, for those of you who haven't read up on your college ball, he plays for Indiana. Indiana, once again, after 4 years pretty much in their own self-induced stupor, they're the preseason number 1. I have 2 counterpoints to kick around with you here.
Okay. 1,
coaching changes. For so long, we have had analysts on your networks covering college basketball. They never go on and on all the time about players until the tournament. But what they say is, wow, so-and-so, he's got a great program there at East Buttfuck State. Hey, this guy, he's really starting to turn around at the University of I don't give a damn. You know, and it's that so-called coaching brotherly fraternity thing. But we have 45 coaching changes at least. And they're not all scrubs. I mean, there are a couple of big names. Jim Calhoun, gone. Bruce Weber at Illinois, 210 wins, gone. Okay.
Although he failed as a coach, he might have had 210 wins, but
in Illinois in 9 years.
Yeah, but he couldn't teach his. He had several big men that were at least 7'2". Well, 7 feet tall, and he couldn't get them to develop as dominant big men, which is why he never went anywhere during the tournament.
The point I'm getting at, though, is that if you're having such insane coaching turnover, you can't hype so-and-so is doing such a great job at this school. Therefore, you don't know the players. You don't even have the coaches to hang your hat on.
Exactly.
Okay, so do you believe that? Because my argument is that college basketball is more of a hype the coach thing. You're saying hype the players.
Yes, you should hype the players because the coaches, people aren't going to watch the coaches anymore. The last coach that people went to watch was Bob Knight. That's when CFL was going to explode, throw a chair on the court. Nobody else is watching the coaches. You're watching the players for the dunks and the ability to make a layup.
I had no idea who Indiana's coach was until today.
I actually don't know either. Is it still the black dude?
Tom Crean.
Really? They
took over 4 years ago. There was the replacement for Bobby Knight got into a weird little cell phone scandal and got ran 4 years ago.
There was also the scandal of him maybe paying players.
The top 10 of the 25 holds the usual cast of characters. Aside, there's only 2 real surprises: Indiana and North Carolina State. NC State is number 6. Your remaining top 10 going 2 through 5, Louisville, Kentucky, Ohio State, Michigan. 7 through 10, Kansas, Duke, Syracuse, and Florida. But I have one possible reason why your argument might be flawed. And I think I've got something here.
Okay.
The ESPN agenda. You go to ESPN and they will run regular season men's games. What happens in the postseason? It all goes to CBS. You go to CBSSports.com, they do not even have a women's college basketball page. They have a men's basketball page. They do not have women's basketball. Who's covering women's playoffs?
ESPN2.
And ESPN.
Well, mostly ESPN.
Right. Now, I'm not gonna. So what we're saying is, what I'm arguing is it possible that we have 2 competing networks?
Most certainly. Like these
And that's not to the detriment of college basketball. That's a network, a sports news network, deliberately, two of them actually, deliberately looking the other way.
Well, it's not that I wouldn't say they're looking the other way. What I would say is that the matchups for women's college basketball, up until the last 2 or 3 years, really, were about Pat Summitt and Gino Ariema.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm glad Gino's gone.
Gino's gone.
I thought he was.
No.
Oh,
Pat Summitt retired.
Yeah, I know about Summitt. I thought Ariema might have left too. My bad. Go ahead.
But those were the two coaches that people were watching on the women's side.
Mm-hmm.
You had the coach for Rutgers, her name still something.
She was the one who got in trouble. Well, not in trouble. She didn't get in trouble, but Don Imus called out her program.
Yeah. But as far as the men's side, the reason that ESPN and CBS are not competing really, is that, well, we've had this discussion before. Men's basketball is bringing in way more money than women's basketball for college.
Right.
It's just a monster. The NCAA tournament is one of the most bet on things in this country.
Right.
People aren't really placing. I know of people that place bets on the women's side, but not until. Actually, here's what's hilarious. Not until the current president has anybody really paid attention to women's basketball. They didn't really get invited to the White House outside of UConn when they went back to back to back. But no one made brackets out for the women's side.
You know what? I still wouldn't put it past ESPN. I just wouldn't.
You're saying it's an ESPN agenda.
It's an ESPN agenda not to hold down the men's game as much as it is to hype that which they broadcast.
You think they're pawning? Are you saying that they're pawning off the men's game and then hyping the women's game?
I'm saying you have a finite amount of airtime.
Right.
And the games you're broadcasting more are from the women's game.
Well, the women's game.
And I'm not saying that's all. I'm not. Look. By the way, we've argued about the WNBA.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with women's college basketball being on TV. Right. I don't have a problem with Brittany Griner or these other ladies at all.
Right.
That's not the point. What I'm saying is that what I'm saying is you have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
To broadcast Sports Center.
Here's the other issue. The men's game and the women's game, the men's tournament and the women's tournament play on different days. The women play 2 days after the first weekend. So you have men, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
Then you have the women play on Monday and Tuesday.
It's irrelevant to my argument.
Right, but you're talking about TV time.
What I'm talking about is the stuff they're broadcasting now on Sports Center.
Oh. Okay, I missed that.
Okay. With that said, but again, I wouldn't put it past ESPN to do that.
Okay.
Does that make?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we've solved nothing. But I will say this: if you're really interested more in men's information, probably
please start looking. Look up these athletes.
I'm not saying turn your back to women's college basketball.
No.
But I am saying if you're looking for detailed men's college basketball coverage, I don't think ESPN is where you go.
What you need to do is go to your nearest high school. Discover the nearest athlete at your nearest high school and try to follow him through college. Because that is the only way these kids are going to learn to stay in school, because that's how you build a fan base. People have forgotten to build their fan bases. Like you have Austin Rivers, you have who else came out? The Royce White. You had him come out after his sophomore year. You had who else came out last year? The number one pick, Davis. Mm-hmm. These kids.
Kentucky's top 6.
Yeah, their top 6 players went, and they haven't built a fan base. You can't name anyone. You can't even find these teams that these players are on. Jeremy Lin might not be a great point guard, but he at least stayed all 4 years before going to the pros. He had some sort of fan base. He has the whole city of wherever Harvard is located that'll follow him for the rest of his career. Why? Because, well, he stayed.
Why don't you tell him what's on your mind, brother?
I guess what's on my mind is this. I remember back in high school where we'd have gym class. You know, every once in a while you'd be forced to go into the swimming pool because you couldn't just play basketball all day, every day for gym. They made you swim. Swimming is a love of mine. I actually love going swimming. People don't know this about me. In my family, I'm the one that taught people how to swim. I'm a strong swimmer. Swimming is not mentioned much in sports until the Olympics. I think it should come to national prominence. We have people in track and field, like sprinters, they go around the world and they sprint. There's nothing for that for swimmers. They just train year round. I want a swimmers league. We have leagues for soccer. We have leagues for the X Games. We have shooting leagues. You have leagues for damn near everything. You have rec league soccer. You have, which I still love, by the way. Go Destroyers. I don't know what the team's name is. What I'm saying is, we need a swimmers league so that I can join. Because I want to get my assy ass in a swimming pool again. Even though I'm old and rickety and I have bad knees, but I think I'm a strong enough swimmer where maybe I could race Michael Phelps. I'm saying this for a reason. I was on YouTube yesterday and I noticed a thing with Herschel Walker training for the 1992 U.S. bobsled team. He made the team as a bobsledder. And then the next accompanying video was him claiming that he wants to fight Mike Tyson back in 1992. If Herschel Walker could say some insane shit like that, then I can race Michael Phelps. Let's get a league together, people. Let's all race Michael Phelps. Because Mike Tyson...
Let's all race Michael Phelps.
Let's all race Michael Phelps because Herschel Walker wants to fight Mike Tyson. And you know what? Right now, I take Herschel Walker. Because he's at least in shape. That's what's on my mind, people.
Last night, the news broke of a deal in the NBA. James Harden was sent from the Oklahoma City Thunder to the Houston Rockets. Multiplayer deal, Oklahoma City getting Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb,
and a stiff dick.
Three draft picks. Houston getting Harden, Cole Aldridge, Daquan Cook, and Lazar Hayward.
It doesn't matter what the names are.
Pretty much. I don't think Oklahoma City is in as big trouble as people are claiming after this trade. The reason is, yes, it is true that Harden is an award winner in an NBA. That award was for the sixth man of the year. Okay? Houston is going to get better. They have to. They've missed the playoffs for the last 3 consecutive years. Houston has cut and traded every veteran from its team last year, which I don't blame them for doing. But with that said, don't sit there and there are so many people, primarily Laker haters, who are just bitching and moaning about this trade, about how there's some sort of NBA conspiracy and, you know, the Lakers get off, the Lakers pulled a switch on this and whatever because of the salary cap. Small market teams wanted the salary cap in the first place. That's one. Two, Harden wanted a maxed out deal. He's on the bench. He has started a grand total of 7 games in his 3 years in the NBA, and he wants a maxed out contract. Of course Oklahoma City should trade him. Absolutely. It is significantly easier to rebuild your bench than get rid of a real star because you signed a bench jockey to a maximum contract. I mean, just because the guy has an Al-Qaeda beard and a faux hawk, and he can play as a bench warmer, But an Al-Qaeda beard and a faux hawk does not make you a starter. It doesn't make you a star. It doesn't make you worthy of a maxed out contract. Look, that one douchebag with the throat tat from the Denver Nuggets was thinking he probably deserved a maxed out deal after he got clean from drugs. Well, you know what I mean. Birdman. Oh, everybody loved the Birdman off the bench. Where's the Birdman now? Same story. So Oklahoma City did not lose the Western Conference yesterday, although the Lakers are stronger. And it is, I would so much rather, if I were Oklahoma City, give the other people maxed out deals.
They did.
Exactly. I love the overreaction of trades like that. Guys, that's pretty much